Hi. Welcome to the Human Design for Marketing podcast. I'm your host, Yvette Mayer, and this show's for you if you're done with cookie cutter marketing and ready to build your personal brand in alignment with who you really are. Let's dive in. Welcome back to the Human Design for Marketing podcast, where in this episode, we are going to be exploring your IP by design. And what I actually mean by IP and how it applies to you is the intellectual property that is your unique approach to supporting your clients, your students, and anyone that you're working with. It's really the thing that your business runs on. It's what you bring through in your own unique way, why people work with you. And so you probably already have intellectual property. Now we're going to figure out where it's sitting in your energy, in your frequency, and how to work with it in a way that systemizes it and organizes it so it becomes something that lives on beyond you. So I don't want you to freak out and think, oh my goodness, what is this? I can't be a coach or support people if I don't know what this is. That isn't what I'm here to talk to you about at all. Although we are going to be exploring about why intellectual property has never been more important in a landscape where we are all of us, using AI every single day. Even if you're not jumping into ChatGPT or Claude, you are using AI in some form every single day. And with this truth comes a different way of navigating the world and learning. And the thing that unlocks your business being protected in this environment is your intellectual property. So here's something to think about. Everything, and I mean everything you've ever taught a client is either an asset that keeps working for you or it's a memory, right? And for most of the brilliant women I work with, it's a memory. Your genius lives in voice notes. It lives in call recordings. It lives in conversations. And those things can be recalled by an individual or a group of people, but they don't keep working for you. So what I want to explore with you is what it means to have intellectual property beyond anything to do with having a lawyer, and also what it's going to cost you if you don't start to take this a little bit more seriously than perhaps you are at the moment. And I'm always here to help you amplify your truth in a way that supports others, makes an impact, and also supports you and gets you paid. The truth is your IP, as I said, is there. It's a matter of seeing it clearly, making it even more yours in the way you speak about it and communicate it beyond this is how I work with clients and into something that is more proprietary. And that's the opportunity. That's the opportunity in front of you. And it's more than a method, but a method is definitely part of it. So here's what your IP actually is, beyond all the, oh my goodness, it's something to do with legal. It's your way. It's your way of seeing the world. It's your way of helping others. It's your unique lens. And quite often you are already expressing this without formalizing it and therefore turning it into an asset. So for instance, you could run a framework or a systematic approach in every call you have with a client. And right now you don't even know that you're doing that. So getting clear on your method and the steps you take is a really important piece of this. Now, for some of you, you're going to say, but I can't see what's on the inside. Here's the fun thing. You are able to go and interrogate those things and build this without as much challenge as you think. Here's a really great example. So I have 2 AI tools myself that are built on my IP. Yesterday, I was running my sold out offers by design hot seat coaching calls. These happen once a month, where beyond the support that Selena brings 24/7 to my clients when it comes to their sales and their offers, they get the opportunity to come and sit on the hot seat and get my eyes on their specific business. Like this is the live element that I think is really, really important. But beyond the call, there was also so much more value. And this is a fun fact for you to take away. I then realized that I had dropped so much gold in this particular coaching call that I pulled off the transcript and I took it into my AI and I got it to create a process or a set of takes and approaches that I used in that call. Then I decided to go back through the last 6 calls that I had in sold out offers and download all of those transcripts. By the end of that, I had so much more to add back into my AI around the way that I coach, my beliefs, the things I say on repeat, right? So this is my hot tip to you. It's those call recordings that you have, they are places to go and find the method that is already sitting inside of you or the step-by-step frameworks, because you may be running these without even realizing. So that is somewhere that you'll find your IP. Same with anything that you've already built, like a form that your clients fill in before they start with you, something that they fill in when they book a call with you. Like all of these places are already capturing your unique approach to looking at the world that is your business. But here's something else that is true and that has been so important to building out my own IP. In your Bodygraph, there are so many clues around the way to look at your way of expressing yourself in the world and how that is distinctive and feeds back into your expression of your intellectual property. And I am going to explore that with you more on this episode because I know you love to dig into your Bodygraph to find these nuances that can make this clear for you as well. I mean, ultimately, your IP is very natural to you, but it may also feel a bit invisible. So it is a process to pull it out of yourself, to connect to that genius, and it can take somebody else to do this with you, to pull this out of you. But the reason it's so important is it is expensive to not be monetizing your IP. I mean, off you go explaining yourself in exactly the same way on repeat all week long. This is what happens when you're not converting your IP into an asset. It's also very dependent on you. So if your IP lives in the past, everything that you do in the future relies on you recreating it. And even if you have courses and other places where your content lives, if it is still one-dimensional, if it's still consumed backwards, like something you've pre-recorded, then it is not alive. It is not growing with you, and it's not helping you support your clients in a live environment. And that means that your business really needs your energy to be on. And that's why for some of you, you're not making money if you're not out there selling. You're exhausting yourself because you need to make money, and that means stuffing your calendar with one-on-one calls because that's the only way that you're currently servicing clients. That's a very energy dependent delivery system. If you also are not following up the work that you do with things like AI notes, note-taking, recordings, then again, you don't know what you have to own. So if you take one thing away from this episode that may be new, but is now more valuable than ever, it's to have places where you're collecting your IP, like transcripts from every call you run, notes of questions that you're getting on repeat, formulas or systems that you're running that are second nature to you, but you haven't captured rather than before. All of these things are costing you energy ultimately. And the downside is not only feeling exhausted, it's actually not serving your clients as well as you could be as well. So it's costing you and it's costing your clients. Now, I'm going to give you a really clear story of this in my own business. And it's a good story with a very happy outcome, but I think it's so powerful to articulate what I'm talking about. So back in February 2024, I created an episode a little bit like this one that was called Your Audience is Inside Your Bodygraph, episode number 155 of the podcast. Now, before I did that, I sat down and I thought, okay, how do I help my clients find their audience? What are the parts of the Bodygraph system that I turn to? And I came up with the method that I believe to be the most powerful to identify your audience based on your energy and your own Bodygraph. Okay, so I got really clear. Now, at the time, I wasn't thinking beyond the podcast episode, but I was prepping for the episode and wanting to create valuable content and deliver it in a way to evoke some curiosity and get my audience, people like you, to take it away and take notes and take action. So I did that. And then a funny thing started to happen. This episode has become my largest downloaded episode of all time. It's had 450 downloads. 450 people have listened to this episode, which is very big for my podcast. And over the course of the following 10 months, I watched this podcast be listened to every single week. And I thought, this is something my audience really want to know more about. And I need to think of another way to bring this to them so that I am actually monetizing this genius and also going deeper and providing even more support for my clients or my listeners or my students to be. But for 10 months, it just sat there with me going, what should I do with this? I don't know. And getting on with my business. Then in December 2024, I finally had the realization that this would make the most perfect mega prompt because it didn't rely on anything that couldn't be sourced from the internet in terms of which parts of your chart to look at, but it did take my audience through a specific process. And therefore, I was able to build a mega prompt, which back then was a big thing, that did it for you. So instead of you sitting down, listening to my episode, learning that you needed to interpret these 4 different parts of your Bodygraph chart, then going and doing a bunch of research, getting distracted, not following through. Even if you did follow through, get to the end of it, you have all this information and you're still scratching your head, right? That was a real possibility. The mega prompt meant that you would be partnering with AI to take that method, do a really deep dive into every aspect that was relevant for you and your specific chart, and actually compress it into something that made sense to you. because this is what AI can do so much better than humans. It's take a whole lot of information and find the threads. Am I right? Like when we are left to our own devices, especially those of us with an open head, open ajna, we're like round and around and around. And should I focus on this part or this part? And oh my goodness, but what if I'm just going down this rabbit hole and then I'm missing a whole part of my audience, right? But partnering with AI to genuinely find the elements that fuse together to really inform the most powerful aspect of that process, like that is magic. And so knowing that this was going to actually land really well, because I had the evidence, I had the data sitting there from my podcast downloads, I built a mega prompt. I then, rather than creating anything new, I had already, when I recorded the podcast, I'd done it face to camera. And so I then took the video recording of the podcast and I cut out all the parts where it mentioned that I was on a podcast and I turned it into a masterclass that was like only 20 minutes because it was cut down. But I cut some graphics over the top of it, pointing arrows to different parts of the Bodygraph, that sort of thing, and combined the video, which became the masterclass, with the mega prompt, loaded it up into my platform. I use Kajabi, and next thing you know, I am getting sales notifications all day long. That piece of intellectual property, which was my unique method, and the way that I built the prompt, went on to sell like 2,500 times over a single year and was the gateway, the low ticket offer that brought a couple of $100,000 extra revenue into my business. Yes, there were ads as involved, so that's not profit, but it was a massive asset. That word asset again. Not only was it an asset to me, but I helped 2,500 people see where their audience lived inside their energy in a way that brought so many of them to tears. Like the amount of people that sent me DMs, left comments on my ads, got in touch with me through email to just thank me profusely because they'd struggled with identifying who their ideal clients were and their audience were in a way that felt resonant and aligned for them for their entire business. And here they were after spending $27 and getting hold of my mega prompt and the class with crystal clarity. Now, this is the perfect demonstration of having a piece of work that already lives inside of the things that you've been building over the time in business that hasn't been converted into intellectual property that can support your clients beyond you, that can keep your business growing when you're not online. And quite often, the intellectual property is there. It's a matter of going looking for it and helping and getting some help from your human design to frame it in a way that makes it distinctly yours. So here's what building my own IP has made possible. And look, my story's a little bit different because building my IP was strategic and it came ahead of AI. So when I first had not the idea, but made the decision that I would go all in on my approach to fusing human design and marketing, I built a strategy that had at its heart, I needed to be known in this field and have my own approach and what I even then termed as I need to build my IP. And I have 30 years of experience, actually more than 30 of marketing experience, as well as I, at that point, had been experimenting, studying, getting qualified in human design over a 5-year period. At that point, like I had a lot to work with, but I knew that there were others that were starting to dabble and dive into this area, and I didn't want to present it in the same way as everybody else. I needed to take myself out of the noise of the industry and develop my own perspective. And that started in the beginning of 2023. And in fact, when I made that decision, I also committed to slowing down this iteration of my business to do this as a priority. Now, here's the fun part. I did not know it at the time, but I was building the intellectual property that has made launching my own AI platform possible. I had no idea that that's what I was doing, but it is why I was so quick to jump on delivering a mega prompt that within months turned into me learning how to build GPTs. And if you go back on the podcast, you can listen to this whole journey, by the way, building the GPTs, and then you're getting to the point where I'd sold thousands of them. And then the whole like, oh my goodness, OpenAI, not feeling very good about it, must find my way into allowing a more agnostic approach to AI that enables things like Claude to be powering my content creation. And then that, that thread that I pulled back in late March unraveled into what is now a fully functioning platform, which, oh my God, like, let me tell you, because this is brand new. It's now, I guess, relaunched, I would say, on alignedmarketing.ai. That is now the home of my entire AI platform. That is a true representation of the IP that I built beginning back in early 2023. It houses two specific, let's call them agents. I don't know if that's the right word. I've heard other people call them brains, but it houses Selena, that was the first. I like to call them sisters too. So sister one, Selena, is my human design for sales strategist who helps you build your offers in alignment with who you really are so that they sell with ease. And she's been out in the world, well, firstly from April, but in a way where I'm actually proud to stand behind her, more like June. It's been a process. And then once I got Selena to the point where overwhelmingly like, oh my goodness, cannot live without her coming from the users. And I've got over 100 people using Selena. Then I got to the point where I'm like, right, well, now that Selena's fully functioning, I'm ready to also build Frida, who was actually my original human design for marketing GPT that I created to complement the Frequency Project, which was the first human design for marketing program I built, which I built back in, I think, mid-2023. Suffice it to say, I now have a fully functioning platform that has these sisters, Selena for sales, Frida for marketing, although I'd go a layer deeper. She's really about your personal brand and daily content creation, whereas Selena is very much about building out your offers, distilling your genius into IP in the form of programs and also complementing them with your own AI. And together they make up aligned marketing. So it's pretty freaking epic. But I didn't know that building out my IP back then was going to lead in this direction. But now I'm at the point where my clients, every one of my clients, has support from me using my IP 24/7. So they do not need me in the same way that they once did to have an amazing experience and support when I'm traveling, when I'm at the beach, when I'm playing golf. They are still supported by these tools. So you can only imagine how much more committed those people in my world are now to applying my methods, because it's this asset that keeps supporting them when I am not able to. Like, it's a whole nother level. And that really is why I wanted to bring this topic to the podcast. Now, when it comes to, right, okay, you promised my IP is in my Bodygraph. Yes, it absolutely is. And I don't think that building your IP in isolation of your Bodygraph is anywhere near as powerful, because the way your energy works really informs things like the shape of how you teach. So, for instance, your profile lines, that really helps you influence others. And it's very, very different depending on what you have as your first line and what you have as your second. So, for instance, I'm a 5-1. So, for instance, I'm a 5-1. So, I am going to provide solutions, right? So, my work is always, okay, you've got a problem with marketing the cookie cutaway that feels revolting, and I'm going to provide solutions so that you can do this in a way that feels freaking amazing because it's aligned with the way you were designed as an energetic being. That's what I do. I provide solutions. But the other part is my line 1 means I go really, really deep into the learning so that I can bring that out and be an authority on the topic. And that helps shape my IP. Solutions, deep experience. Key gates, of course, your key gates, your personality sun, your personality Mercury. There are a number of other gates, your design Mars, your design, like I could go one by one, but I think that you get that. More importantly, what are the themes? Like, my biggest theme in my entire chart is helping you create strategy or innovation from something that feels kind of messy and hard. Like, I literally live and breathe mutation. I have gate 3 in my personality sun. It is all about turning chaos into a thing of beauty, something that feels fun, something that feels playful. It is difficult at the beginning, and that's why I think I never get used to it, by the way. I was just like, oh my God, my puppy, she's a nightmare because she's at the beginning. So was my AI build, a nightmare at the beginning, but now so joyful. And I speak about this frequently because it's part of my IP. It's helping you turn all of your bits and pieces of your intellectual property that you may not even recognize into a thing of beauty. Okay, this is literally what I do. Definition. Ultimately, where you're defined, you have so much consistency. This is a big part of what you're here to bring through into the world. I have my G center defined. My G center is all about purpose. It's connected to my sacral through the 14-2, which is walking to the beat of your own drum, is how I put it. And well, it's called the channel of the beat, but basically it's the drive towards purposeful identity. That is what I do. So again, this is part of the way that I've built my intellectual property. And then ultimately, it's asking smart questions to find your IP in your Bodygraph, like 3 specific questions for you to go and hunt it down. I'm not going to share that with you here, but I am going to put it into the show notes. So that's it for this episode. I'm sure you've taken something away from it. I also wanted to extend an invitation to my retreat in late October 2026, if you happen to be listening to this in real time, because I am so passionate about this and about empowering you to empower your clients that I have built a 5-day retreat in Ubud, Bali, where we're going to get you crystal clear on what your IP is and actually how to package it up, like how to systemize it, how to bring it through, and ultimately, when you get back from Bali, how to take it into a world where people want to learn in a more interactive fashion. And that means you bringing in elements of AI into the way you support your clients as well. I can't wait to see who is joining me in Bali. I've already got one fabulous woman signed up. There are still 9 spots as I record this. We're in early bird right now through until the 31st of July. So please drop into my Instagram DM if you're interested. You can go to the show notes and click on the link to the sales page. And other than that, I look forward to being back in your ears real soon. Bye for now. There are heaps more resources in the show notes. I can't wait to be back in your ears again soon. Bye for now.